In this tutorial, you will see what you have to do in order to adapt a Gazebo Classic project to the new Gazebo. As a reminder, Gazebo Classic is now the old Gazebo, whose end of life was January 2025. So if you still have a project using this version, you should probably update now, and I'm gonna show you how. Note that this is not a full complete course, it's more of a quick guide to show you the different steps and to compare the before and after code. If you want a full step-by-step course on how to simulate a robot in Gazebo, then check out the link that I will put in the description. And let's get started. So the first thing is to install the new Gazebo. Okay, so here I am on Ubuntu 24.04 and I'm using ROS2 Jazzy. Okay, but for also the following versions, it should also work kind of the same. So we're gonna do sudo apt install, and well, I've already installed ROS2, of course. And we're gonna do ROS and then the distribution, which is Jazzy for me, and then ROS-GZ for ROS Gazebo. So you install this, which is already done for me. And then you can source, let's just open a new terminal. And to start Gazebo, you can do gz sim. You can just start it like this, and you can also put the name of a world. So I'm gonna give you one now, mt.sdf. And that's gonna start Gazebo Simulator. All right, so nothing really fancy here. You can start the time here also. You can start the simulation because it's stopped by default. Well, you have the simulation. I'm not gonna do a complete introduction here. It's just so you can start Gazebo. Okay, you can install it and start it. And now I'm gonna show you the code that we will have. So I'm not gonna write the code, I already have the code. So I have two workspaces actually here. You see the first one, so you can focus on the left side here. The first one, the source is the current workspace I have with the new Gazebo code. And then I have the code for the old Gazebo. So we're gonna check this code and then we're gonna check what are the differences and what you need to do in order to go from this old Gazebo code to the new one. And then we're gonna also build it, source it, and run it. All right, so let's focus first on those packages here, especially the My Robot description. So you see I have a robot description with a URDF folder, and here I have different Zacro files, okay, to describe the robot. We have the main Zacro file, I'm gonna put them here. We have then I'm gonna put common properties and the Gazebo stuff here. So you see that the main Zacro file is gonna include the other ones. Okay, nothing really special about this. We have a file here with all the links and all the joints. So we're gonna use a mobile base. It's quite classic robot. You see we have a base link and then wheel link, etc. Okay, so links and joints here. Then we have common properties with material tags. We also have some inertial macros that we use in here. You see we have the inertial tags here. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the robot. And then we have the Gazebo stuff. So this is for the old Gazebo, Gazebo Classic. We have some material tags for Gazebo and some coefficient for the friction here. And then we have here, you see a diff drive controller plugin. Okay, so this is the plugin so that the wheels of the robot can work on Gazebo. And then, so that's the robot description package. That's basically it. We have a launch file just to visualize that, and an RVS folder here to, well, save the RVS configuration, but it's not really important. And then we have a bring up folder. In here, we have a launch file. And in this launch file, you can see that, well, I'm gonna come back to this, but we start the robot state publisher with the URDF. Then we start Gazebo. Then we spawn the robot in Gazebo. And we also start RVS, okay? I'm gonna come back to this a bit later. For now, let's focus on this first package, on the My Robot description package. So that's the old code here. And the new one, so I'm gonna go to the new one, URDF. And you see we have the same file. So we have 4 files. I'm gonna put them here. So My Robot URDF, mobile base, common properties, and the Gazebo one. And the first thing I'm gonna focus on is what actually doesn't change. You can see the main file is the same. We import the common properties, all the links and the joins here, and well, the Gazebo file. But well, this one doesn't change. Then we have the mobile-base.zacro. So this is where you have the links and the joints. And you see, well, you can just compare those files, but the file is exactly the same. Okay, there's nothing different. We have then the common properties with material tags and inertial macros. This one is also the same. Okay, so if you have a URDF with links, joints, collision, inertial, all that stuff, there's going to be the same between the previous Gazebo and the new one. And actually, the first step to do when you have a URDF in order to adapt this to Gazebo is to add collision and inertial tags. And you can see, well, because this is the same, we don't need to modify anything. We have the collision tag here, for example, same as here. And we have the inertial tag here, which is the same as here. So the first step actually is already done. We don't need to modify anything. So if you had already a robot for the old Gazebo, anything about collision and inertial stays the same. But now I'm going to go to this Gazebo file here. So what changes here? You can see on the old one, we have material tags for Gazebo because we couldn't really see the colors on Gazebo. We had to use different material tags, but we don't have them anymore in the new Gazebo. Okay, somehow the colors are properly working. So I just removed, you can see the material tags. Now we still have, for the caster wheel, this is a bit specific here to add some friction coefficient. We still have those coefficients here without the material tag, of course. So this stays the same. And then we have the plugins. Of course, the plugin for the new Gazebo and the old Gazebo are going to be different. So basically what you had here with the diff drive controller, well, you can see some of the parameters are really similar because, of course, when they ported the code for the plugin from the old Gazebo to the new Gazebo, most of the features are going to be the same. But then you can see the way to use the plugin here with the file name, the name is completely different. And in the old Gazebo, we just have a plugin for the diff drive controller, and that's it. In the new one, we have a diff drive controller, that's the same, but then we also have a joint state publisher. Okay, you will need a joint state publisher, which is going to be the same for all the projects basically, but you need to add it. In the old Gazebo, you didn't need to do that. And then where are you going to find the information for those plugins? Well, for this, I'm going to show you here. You can directly go to, GZ Sim project from Gazebo Sim, okay, on GitHub. I'm showing you the GitHub page because there's no documentation for that. So the documentation is going to be inside the code. Okay, you go there, then you go on source, you go on, you see systems. Okay, so the plugins in the new Gazebo are named systems, okay? And then you see you have all the different systems or different plugins. And then we can see, for example, we have the diff drive here. You have the diff drive.h file, and I'm also going to open the C file. So it's .cc. All right, and you see we have the code. And why I am showing you the code is because in the, you see the H file, we have the documentation here, okay, the different parameters that you can add. So in most systems, in most plugins, you will have this, and that's very helpful. Okay, that's basically the only documentation you can find for now. And then, so if I look back here, you see we have information first about the file name and the name. How do we know that? Well, for the name, actually, if you go in the CC file, at the very end, you will see we have a macro here, and you see the name is this one. Okay, so you can take the name from the end of this file. So that's gonna be the name, and then the file name, you're gonna put gzsim, and then the name here, with this time separation with dashes between the words, and then system. You see it's the same for the joint state publisher. This is what you can find at the end of the CC file, and then you put gzsim, and then the name here, and then system. And well, you find all of the parameters here, so I'm not gonna go into detail for everything here. If you want the full step-by-step guide on how to actually write this from scratch, well, I have a full course for you. You can also check the link in the description. But for now, you see, you know where to find the systems, what to include, and you have the parameters here. If I look at the parameters, you can see between the old code and the new code for the kind of the same plugin, you see we have the same thing. We have the left and the right joint. Okay, we have the wheel separation. And then here was wheel diameter, now it's wheel radius, so it's a bit different. And then you have the, well, child frame ID, which was robot base frame. Okay, so that's a bit different. And then there are some parameters that I didn't set here, but we only need this to get started. And for the joint state publisher, I'm gonna go back and systems. I'm gonna go to joint state publisher. You can also browse the other ones. Okay, you have lots of available plugins. And let's open the CC and H file. At the end of the CC file, you can see if I scroll down, you can see we have the name here. That's the name that I have used right here. And then I already told you how you can construct the file name. All right, and then in the H file, you can see, well, you can choose the topic if you want, and you can select some join names. So if you don't put any, it's gonna publish all of them, so you could leave it empty. But here I have specified the 2 joins that I want to publish. All right, so that's the end for this My Robot Description package. You can see the main difference is on this Gazebo file, of course. And so what you will have to do is to replace the old plugins with the new ones, and also to add the joint state publisher if you didn't use it already. And now that we have this, so, well, the rest of the My Robot Description is going to be the same. We have a launch file, but it's just to visualize the robot, so that's not so important, and it's going to be the same. So now we can go to My Robot Bringup, and in My Robot Bringup we have a launch file. So this is the old one, I'm going to put it here. And the new one, I'm going to put it here. Actually, no, that's not the one, it's this one here. All right, so what did we have in the previous launch file for the old Gazebo? Well, you see we first get, so I'm using XML, okay, everywhere. It's much easier than the Python one. And first we get the URDF path and the RVs config path. Okay, that's, well, just some variables and paths that we get here. And we start the robot state publisher. Okay, that's the first thing you're gonna do in basically any application. You start the robot state publisher with a robot description parameter, and you use the Zacro command to basically generate the whole URDF. Okay, so that's step number 1 for any application. And then what we did is to start Gazebo. So you see we start the Gazebo launch file. Okay, nothing really fancy here, we just start Gazebo. And then we had a executable here, spawn entity.py, to, well, basically spawn the robots in Gazebo using the topic robot description, and you see the name is going to be My Robot. So we start Gazebo, we spawn the robot in Gazebo, and we also have the node ROS2, so we can also see what's going on with the TFs, etc. Now, what's the difference with the new one? Well, in the new one, there are already some things that are the same. So we still need to get the URDF path and the RVs config path. Is this Gazebo config path? I'm going to come back to this in 1 minute. So of course, we need the URDF, we need the RVs config, and we start the robot state publisher the same way that we start here. Okay, this is ROS2, it's the same. With any version of ROS2, basically it's the same. Whether you use the old or the new Gazebo, you still need to start the robot state publisher with the URDF. Okay, but now the big difference is here. You see how we start Gazebo, of course, it's not going to be the same. So instead of Gazebo ROS and then gazebo.launch.py, now we have ROS, gz, sim, and then it's gz-sim.launch.py. And I'm also passing some arguments, some Gazebo arguments with, you see the empty.sdf, that's the world that I'm loading. And I'm also putting the -r so that I say that we start the time already. Okay, otherwise the time is going to be stopped. So, well, it's just a small detail, but basically you can see this is the way to start the new one and this is the way to start the old one. So it's pretty much the same. It's just the syntax is different, but it's pretty much the same logic. And then what we did is to spawn the robot in Gazebo. That's exactly what we do here. Just with a different name for the package, a different name for the executable. Here it's create, and we have the topic robot description, which is the same here. But now this is actually a big difference, and it's actually not even a difference, it's a new thing in this new Gazebo. Because here that was it. Okay, you would start Gazebo, spawn the robot, well, start RVs also for debugging, but that's it. Okay, all the topics, everything is gonna work the same. But for the new Gazebo, actually Gazebo is working independently from ROS. It's also using topics and services, etc. But those topics are not connected with ROS. You need to actually create a bridge. And so that's why you see I have here a parameter with a Gazebo config, so gazebo bridge.yaml, that's the file that we have here. And then we load this file with the parameter bridge from the ROS Gazebo bridge package. And let's see this file. This file is here. Okay, so it's a list of different parameters. And you see each item is going to be a bridge. So for example, we have the clock. You see, we have the clock topic on ROS and we have the clock topic on Gazebo. But those ones, even here, if it's the same name, those ones are not connected. So they don't communicate with each other. You see, we have the ROS type, which is this, and the Gazebo type is that one. And so just a quick note, if you go, so you will also find this on GitHub. You go to Gazebo sim and then ROS GZ, and you have the ROS GZ bridge package. Here you can find this, so you can easily browse that. And here you see the ROS type and the Gazebo type. Okay, so this is just, for example, for a pose, a geometry message pose. Here is going to be GZ messages pose. Okay, and stuff like that. So you can find all of the translations basically from ROS type to Gazebo type here. And you see that's, well, how you create a bridge. You have to put the ROS topic name and the ROS type name, and then the Gazebo topic name and the Gazebo type name, plus the direction. Is it Gazebo to ROS, or is it ROS to Gazebo? Or it can also be bi-directional. Usually it's only one of the two. And so here, well, you see we have the clock. It's kind of useful to have the clock from Gazebo to ROS. Then we have the topic name, join states. Okay, we need the join states in ROS, and we get the join state from that Gazebo topic. Okay, so when you start Gazebo, you can list the topics and you can get that. You see we have the ROS name and the Gazebo name that you can find also on this page here. All right, we also get the TF. So basically we get the clock, the join states, and the TF. That's for this application. And then we are going to send the command velocity to the robot. Okay, so we have the command vel topic. We create that on the ROS side. And on Gazebo, we have the, you see its name, model myrobot cmdvel. Okay, with a twist message. And so this is a new thing in the new Gazebo. You need to create this bridge. And in my full course, we also do that step by step. So you need to create that bridge. You need to basically create a parameter here, a parameter file. You're gonna install this parameter file. You see here, we install it from the simeclist.txt, and then you're gonna load it. So you're gonna fetch it, and you're gonna load it here with the parameter bridge executable. Okay, so that's an additional step you need to do. So basically, yes, configuring a robot for the new Gazebo is a bit more complicated, but well, that's just how it is. All right, so to recap quickly before we actually see the final result, in the description package, if I come back to description package, you see that the Zacro file here for the Gazebo tags with the plugins are of course going to be completely different. Okay, you might still use some stuff like the friction values. You also remove the material tags. Then in the launch file, lots of things are similar when it's actually about ROS2. Okay, everything that's just ROS2 is the same. But then for Gazebo, of course, the way to start Gazebo is, so it's a different syntax. You still spawn the robot, but it's a different syntax. And then the big difference is that you create a parameter bridge with a YAML file that contains all the different bridges that you want for the ROS and Gazebo topics. Now I'm gonna go to the terminal, and well, I've added actually the new code inside this workspace. I'm gonna do a call const build. This is gonna go quite fast. Source. And then I'm gonna start this launch file. So ROS2 launch my robot bring up, and then my robot Gazebo launch.xml. So we have Gazebo here with the robot. I also have RVs that's spawned here. I'm just gonna make it like this. All right. And now, well, to test this, so already it's good because you see we have the TFs on RVs. Okay, if we can see the wheels like this with the axis, it means that the TFs are correct. So what's publishing from Gazebo is actually received on the ROS side. And now I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to do, well, this is a node ROS2 run, teleop twist keyboard. You might need to install this one. And teleop twist keyboard, we can send comments on the cmdvel topic basically. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. And I'm just going to send comment on the cmdvel topic to see what's happening. And you can see that the robot is moving. You can see the wheels are turning here. And actually, if I put the fixed frame too, we have an autumn frame here. That's a bit specific for this robot. Then you can see that if I align Gazebo and RVs, okay, then it is correctly working. All right, so with this tutorial, you have seen the steps that you need to take in order to update your project from the old Gazebo to the new Gazebo. Well, of course, there might be more things to do, but at least here you've seen the main steps and the main things that you need to focus on and also where to find the documentation. Now, if you want to go further and learn how to create your own URDF, so to create the URDF for this robot completely from scratch, and to also simulate the robot in Gazebo from scratch with the new Gazebo, then I have a complete course and you can find the link in the description. All right, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.